All right, good evening, Paul, Bobby. Of course, this is B flat, Bill. Um, Wanted to put something together real quick to avoid long-winded commentary that goes nowhere and really just get right to the point of what we've been exchanging over the last couple of days. We can all agree that we are looking at Paul's work, and we are looking at the pre-sunset pan. As I bring up other slides in place, I just want to have everybody realize that from where we are observing from Campus Point at the focal length we're observing, we are observing, of course, in this area, Mesa Beach. We're observing how the water level sits at Mesa Beach. And then in the end, we are going to be looking at the different heights that the farthest distance, which should be considered the horizon, at what height they are visually presenting to us. One thing we're going to have to focus on here is this little structure of land off to the side. We should have a measurement height of that. I believe it was 45 feet, but Paul could correct me on that. Either one of you can correct me on that. We do know that it is significant in height. My point of the earlier debate about concave or convex or flat will eventually just deal with where this bit of water in the distance presents itself. And we really don't have to establish a baseline. We are, in fact, yes, identifying what we are seeing. And what we are seeing in one view is important, but what we see in other observations is important as well. So I'm going to move over to another view. Again, remember, from where we're standing, we can, through three-point alignment, judge coarsely a height. With distance, height is more significant than what we're gauging it from what's in the foreground, but we do have to understand what we're looking at. So this is a semi-Swanee pan. Paul had this observation on January 27, 2024. Again, we look at the water at Mesa Beach. It's an established height. But consider the extremity of the rise of what we could only speculate is the water running into the distance. Now, I personally don't believe that's actually water. I believe that is the water line appearing to us as being... We are seeing refraction. We are seeing the water being misplaced, or we interpret it as being here, and it's not. Now, if anybody wants to say that the water is actually where the water's at, please explain it by a model. We know where this is. You've heard my argument of this point on the theoretical globe, and I will put that out there because, yes, it's there. If it is spherical in nature, it has to have a point where we are arcing over that convex model. And I'm not going to nail anybody down to any size, but if the waterline appears to rise with distance, then this would be a ramping up, which again would be concave and not convex. And that would be just something everybody has to agree. The model has to answer those questions. Now I'm going to close out of this one and go to hopefully the last. Here again we have another view. We can see the shoreline. This is a low tide even. We don't have the water coming into play, but what is the water here, guys? What is the water? We're well above that notch, and if that notch was 45 feet, or somebody correct me for the height, there is a significant amount of what somebody might mistake as water that factors into the measurements that they take to establish their justification of flatness, sphericity or concavity, convex, whatever the model, you were looking at visual information. And the one thing we all have to say is, we're not seeing land beyond this. Whatever is here being represented here is causing visual blockage of what's seen in the distance. And this is just refraction of the light coming off of the water. Everything above behaves differently. We're looking at one component of the equation, and that is the baseline of the model, if we're going to call the water surface the baseline of the model. Now, please respond to those points, okay? Open and honest here. It's not that I'm not understanding any of the models or any of the observations. I'm clearly pointing out something that everybody really needs to address instead of ignoring. From this point in time, I myself, and my belief, everybody knows it, I am focusing on how the path of light can produce these results across all the models. Okay, I am challenging, Bobby, all of the models. I'm not just faulting the globe for its problems and shortcomings with its geometric and mathematic equations and what should be. I challenge the flat. How can a flat realm produce obstruction at distance? Okay, you call the obstruction at distance Earth curvature, and it can only be Earth curvature and geometric. Okay, I challenge that. I can create on a flat Earth visual obstruction through refraction that's been repeatable and observable on different scales. Heath is doing work, Sky Free's doing work, Paul's doing work. Everybody is taking these observations at different scale. Paul's scale is larger than Heath's scale, which is obviously much larger than the microscale of Sky Free. All that information I study. Okay, I am not just rejecting the globe model on its failures. I'm scrutinizing every model. And if you'd like to have conversations about this, I would welcome them. Okay, but I'm not just going to be waved off in the capacity that you've been waving off. Obviously, there's information here that is important. Look forward to a response.